You see the government, like the governors. Now, I find out something. It's the same thing. It runs in the government. Any governor's wife that comes to run an NGO linked up to government dies or is abandoned or it is raped. But I've noticed something about this present governor's wife. Her registration is not in government. FEREP is her personal NGO, orchestrated in the time of her existence, which means that long after she lives as the wife of the governor, there is a relevance of what? But she is the governor's wife. That is why the monies that are raised for FEREP is completely different. The organizational structure is completely different. So that question is a delicate question. It's a narrow question. Because now the question will be, what of those of us as pastors under shepherd? Wisdom profits to direct in the area of responsibility to the local church. Like now, we started with the family contact or content. Ability now, he made it very clear. Something like a school, except the conglomerate is running a general school. But if you as individuals or pastors on the field that you have the capacity to run a school, it's your responsibility to discuss with the leadership and say this is what is leading us into personal and private what. Now, people run franchise. Let me tell you what I mean by franchise. He runs in Redeem. Redeem has masterminded franchise even to the name of a local church. For instance, I can be in Houston and run a church called the Redeem Christian Assembly, but we do not belong to Redeem. We are using the name as franchise, yes. There are certain dues that are paid in there. So now Mama is running her personal school. It is not, what do you call it? Destiny schools. It is Great Minds. If you have a pastor under this jurisdiction who loves the name, and for relationship, and they call it cloud gathering. It's a name. It's called cloud gathering. For instance, now, we have a cloud gathering of name. I can run my school, but that school is mine. But I franchise the name of Great Minds. So the credit goes to the conglomerate, and the financial capacity and blessing comes to me. The financial implication, all other things belong to me. But for conglomerates, it is accepted, it's a practice law, even in this nation. Like I said, I make reference to Redeem schools. They are not all owned by Redeem. Some are individuals, even local churches. Some local churches in Ghana, in South Africa, people come and say, we love what they do, the doctrinal matters. Just like when Papa Idahosa started, Papa Idahosa started Church of God Mission. Under Church of God Mission, but he started a conglomerate with Assemblies of God. That is why they used as Sunday school materials and teaching for a long while. It was not casually done. It was intentionally and documented. How do I know? I was invited to Assemblies of God National to do the change of memorandum and constitution for 1 year. I don't know if I'm communicating. So for conglomerates, we can all bear the same name, knowing that though we bear the same name, that is when now the strategic headquarters structure will give guidelines to other sub-conglomerates. For instance, if you are bearing our name, this is what we stand for as a Christian school. The condition is that your school must be a Christian school. You must follow this curriculum or this concerning the integrity, because you are selling your name at a high price. If the conglomerate under conglomerate misbehave, they will constitutionally hold you responsible. You cannot defend it in the court of law. So they cannot go their own ways. That is why even the franchise on Redeemed churches, they agree to their doctrines. They pay a particular sum of start, and they pay a particular sum every year. They participate at a certain number to attend. If an overheading ministry gives a covering to your local school, then you must pay what you call a certain conglomerate. I've discovered all this to the headquarters, and then give a yearly report to show that so number of students recorded, so passed. This is what they did, because any record of false or mis-examination in that place will be referred to the headquarters. Under shepherd, things like school, hospitals, private businesses, with apostolic release is good, but not ministry within a ministry. Because then you are showing that you are not going to stay. 2, you've not owned the business. 3, you're running with your own vision under that vision. So let there be a clear cut on this, because I think that it is something that we really need to clarify. That's why I just needed to add my own little contribution. The Lord help us in Jesus' name.
Praise God, praise God. Amen.
Please hold on. Mommy wants to add something.
Praise the Lord. I know it's a very interesting topic, and the class is something very necessary for now. Let me come from another angle. It's so sad that there are things we see. We tend not to emulate good things, kind of. Most ministries outside of here.
Mama, somebody that has been here with us, Professor Isu, is about leaving. He was one of our lecturers when we were doing communication arts in our school. And I could tell you that one person used our certificate to be a commissioner in this state. But it is Isu that taught, and one other guy that we lost some years ago. Professor Isu is going to present a paper on Saturday. He's a man that's going to do the paper presentation. So he just came in here. So we want to greet you. God bless you, Prof. We look forward to seeing you and hearing you on Saturday. God bless you, sir. 10 a.m., yes. Bless you, sir.
Okay. So what I was saying is that ministries, for extension of ministries, networking is very important. That's number 1. Number 2, for extension of ministries, there is nothing wrong for you as a pastor grooming your child to be in ministry. Sometimes you may not be the one grooming that child. You look at Oral Roberts' ministry. It's one ministry that had saved a lot of people. But Oral Roberts is dead. Look at Billy Graham. Many years before Billy Graham died last year. He died at the age of 99.
Almost 100.
He was almost 100 when he died. But for how many years he wasn't ministering again? But his ministry is still going on. I look at TBN. How many of you watch TBN? Both husband and wife are dead. Rather than that ministry coming down, that ministry has gone beyond leaps and bounds after the man and the wife had died. Why? Because children took over. So many years ago, many years ago, things that like Reverend Mrs. Angela had told us about her husband, because the father-in-law was a pastor, and the things that happened to him made the son to say to Fiakwa. How many of you knew Joe, the man we used to call Joe Uma? But his name was Joe Uma, that used to sing wonderful songs. I had opportunity of talking with him one-on-one, relating with him many years later, in later days of his life. And he told me the pain. His father was a pastor. As soon as the father died, both himself and the mother were packed out of the missions house. They sent the mother away. They sent, this was the pastor's wife. They sent her away and her children. So it took God. I was happy that the talent that God gave to him made Daddy Umar to discover him. Otherwise, Joe would have died an unbeliever. Even when he was ministering with Daddy Umar, he was still carrying that pain of church. One day he wrote a book. Thank God he didn't publish it. I suspect Pentecost. I say, I suspect you more than I suspect Pentecost. There is a man of God, I don't want to mention his name here. That man, he was Dr. Umar's contemporary, running a ministry here in Uyo. His children are pastors now. No, not his children. The children that ministered were in their church are pastors now. Recently, when that man died, all that he had used it to buy a land, build a house, build a church there. So he was literally living in Mission's house. We'll be moving from his house, his room, to the church. When that man died, the church, the elders of the church, gathered and told the wife and the children to please vacate the place for the new senior pastor. For the new overseer. So these questions we're asking, these things we are discussing is very important. So we need to know what we are doing in ministry for tomorrow. There must be that understanding. Let's learn, how do they do it outside? How do ministries do and succeed? And then they are not, their children and their wives are not vagabonds when the ministers die, because it has happened so many times. People have stayed in my house and told me, why do you want me to sweep your outside? What is DJ and Josiah doing? They're eating my food. Everything free. My children were not even up to the age of sweeping. And the man looked at me, he said, what is Josiah and DJ doing? And, you know, I should still house him. I still housed him anyways. And other things. So those are the things that should make us, do not be ignorant that you are a pastor and you don't know anything. That's the essence for classes like this. God bless you.
Thank you so very much.
Last two, my dear friends, last two questions or comments.
If there are questions, please, just very short, because of our time. This class is supposed to be 3 o'clock. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity, sir. God bless you for the teaching. I want to ask if, for example, a pastor is sent to a new station and the old person has gone, but outside still have so much influence on the members that he left behind. No matter whatever the new pastor is struggling and trying to show them love and everything, but the influence of the former pastor is overwhelming and they are becoming more loyal to that other pastor. What will you do in such situations, sir?
Thank you. It's one of the classes I'm going to handle tomorrow. I should have handled that today. That is a pastor and his church. I will handle that, I think, tomorrow or Friday. I will answer that. If I don't, raise it back again. But it is there in the note, how to handle such situations. Yes.
Sir, I'm already overwhelmed by the questions and contributions already made. I felt like suspending my question. But I want to say this, sir. You've taught us on the need, as part of shepherd's function, to love the church, feed the sheep, love the flock, lead the flock, keep the flock together, tend the flock, and protect the flock. So what would you have to console or to advise or counsel pastors who have gone a long way to put this into practice, show real care, real love, guidance to the church, and still members have the guts to walk out on such a pastor, not minding his contributions to their life.
Thank you, sir. That is still part of the cross. It's part of the cross you have to bear. That is why I said, why do you say my members when they are all going to walk out one day? Remember, Jesus is having over 5,000 people in his congregation. And one day, all of them left except the apostles who were waiting. And he looked at them out of disappointment. He said, what are you people still doing here? Follow them and go. And they said to him, to whom shall we go? You have the word of life. So sometimes those things do happen. But our consolation is that when we are faithful in our assignment, the good shepherd, the chief shepherd, shall reward you. Sometimes you have a generation of people you have raised that will leave you. Then God will now bring the generation that will stay with you. So keep praying, keep doing, keep serving. One day God will encourage you, and that will be the best. All right. Thank you so very much, men and brethren. Tomorrow we'll be back, and I hope we will start right on time. God bless you.
Thank you very much, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. Can we put our hands together for our convener and chancellor of Lead Impact University?